When Rick Astley unexpectedly retired from music at age 27, it left many of his adoring fans puzzled and wanting more. Having dominated the late 1980s with chart-topping smashes under the Stock Aitken Waterman producing banner, Astley was at the peak of his fame when he chose to exit the industry quietly. Join Facts First as we untangle the story behind Rick Astley's retirement through his own reflections on the heights of success, the pressures of fame, and rediscovering his passion for music on his own terms later in life. Early success. Rick Astley's rise to fame in the late 80s was nothing short of a pop culture phenomenon. Growing up in Lancashire, England, Rick developed a passion for music early on. He began performing in local bands as a teenage drummer while holding down day jobs. It was through these early groups that he met guitarist and friend David Morris, with whom he later formed the soul-influenced band FBI. While touring the UK club circuit with FBI, Rick's rich, distinctive vocals steadily earned the group devoted fans and helped them win multiple talent competitions. But neither Rick nor his bandmates could have predicted what fate had in store. In 1985, Rick unintentionally crossed paths with Stock Aitken Waterman, the acclaimed pop production team behind a string of global chart toppers. They were immediately impressed by Rick's raw talent and charisma. SAW recruited Rick to learn the ins and outs of their recording process behind the scenes. Over the next 2 years, under the tutelage of Mike Stock, Matt Aitken, and Pete Waterman, Rick blossomed as both a vocalist and a performer. By 1987, they deemed him ready for a significant debut push. Rick's breakout single, Never Gonna Give You Up, was an instant and massive success immediately. Its dance pop groove and Rick's rich vocal delivery resonated worldwide. Within months, Never Gonna Give You Up had obliterated records by entrenching itself at number 1 in over 25 countries. It became the highest-selling single of 1987 globally and earned Rick widespread acclaim. 3 more chart-topping hits followed throughout 1988, including fan favorite Together Forever. By 19, Rick had outsold all artists, and his album sold over 15 million copies in total. But the grueling demands of maintaining such intense fame took their toll on Rick. He faced immense pressure to constantly churn out new material at breakneck speed, and creeping tabloid criticism painted Rick as SAW's puppet, despite writing credits on works. By late 1989, while on a global tour, the then 23-year-old Rick felt burned out from the non-stop pace. He yearned for the carefree days before worldwide recognition stripped away privacy and freedom. Knowing his heart was no longer fully in the industry grind, he prepared to take life into his own hands on his terms. Desire for creative freedom and family. As Rick Astley's debut album cycle drew to a close in 1989, he knew a change was necessary. Creatively unfulfilled and feeling burnt out from the non-stop pressures, Rick took back control. He parted ways with Stock Aitken Waterman, the only producers he had known thus far. This new independence allowed Rick to flex his songwriting talents and pursue a soulful direction he felt passionate about. Away from the hit factory assembly line approach, Rick delved deeper into his loves of Motown and Stax Records for inspiration. He crafted material reflecting this evolved sound and self-assured identity on 1991's Free LP. Its lead offering, Cry for Help, proved Rick still had popular appeal with its radio-friendly groove. But he was now doing it his way, through heartfelt lyrics and stripped-back arrangements highlighting his stellar vocals. By this juncture, Rick's personal priorities also shifted vastly. Where fame once dominated his 20s, settling down and starting a family now commanded foremost importance. He had quietly wed film producer Lenny Balsiger in 1990. The following year, their daughter Emily was born. Though fatherhood wasn't part of Rick's original plans, he fell deeply in love with his role and absorbing every moment with his new family. When Free touring wrapped and Rick returned home, precious time with his loved ones became his only focus. He put recording on hold, further severing ties with his chart-topping past. 2 years later, he issued one final album, Body and Soul, as a musical going-away gift to fans before retiring at just 27 years old. Its smooth soul pop encapsulated Rick's artistry away from SAW's assembly line. He had found personal fulfillment far removed from the industry grind. Music would still play a role in his life, but now strictly on his terms, surrounding his priorities of family and creative passion. Time away from the music industry. When Rick Astley retired from music in 1993, it allowed him to embrace life away from fame's intrusive spotlight. He was tired of the industry grind and simply wished to focus on his family. For nearly a decade, Rick remained domestically based while reconnecting with music in a low-key manner. Though missing the creative process, Rick grew to resent the business and promotional aspects controlling artists' lives. Constant touring and deadlines felt unfulfilling when his priority became watching his young daughter grow up. Years passed as Rick happily raised Emily with beloved wife Lenny in their Surrey home, intertwining music throughout but without expectations. By the late 90s, Rick felt inspired to compose once more, but only on his terms. He casually collaborated with other artists like Fish and maintained a local cult following. Ever curious creatively, Rick endlessly tinkered on projects while rejecting demands of fame. His retreat from mainstream attention allowed recharging artistic passions freely. When 2000 arrived, changing industry tides saw reunions trending. Polydor approached Rick and he cautiously agreed, wishing to combine renewed drive with prioritizing family above all. With encouragement from loved ones, Rick crafted Keep It Turned On independently at home without taxing schedules. Between low-profile releases, Rick cherished everyday joys far from tabloids again. Music wasn't central, but rather an option when inspiration struck without pressure. By now a devoted husband and father, content creating privately, Rick never imagined circumstances soon awakening dormant superstardom once more in an unforeseen manner. Return to music and renewed success. In 2007, an unexpected phenomenon catapulted Rick Astley back into global relevance when the Rickroll meme took the internet by storm. The prank of tricking people into unwittingly watching his seminal Never Gonna Give You Up video awoke dormant fans worldwide. Suddenly, Rick found his breakthrough hit nearing 1 billion YouTube views as the joke spread like wildfire. At first perplexed by this strange new fame, Rick was relieved to learn from daughter Emily that the meme wasn't actually about him. It had simply attached to his ubiquitous 80s bop to become playful internet culture. With lighthearted appreciation, he embraced the unexpected revival by performing the song at the 2008 Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade. He re-entered the public sphere on his terms, though. He steadily toured alongside other 80s legends throughout the late 2000s for devoted crowds, bringing beloved tunes to new generations. He also participated in various charity events like comic relief telethons, exhibiting his generous spirit. By the 2010s, never one to rest on past success, he explored fresh avenues like releasing the dance single Lights Out and co-hosting BBC radio shows. His landmark 50th birthday album, 50, debuted at number 1 on the UK charts, capping his unlikely popularity surge. Now it's time to hear from you. Did you know Rick Astley had retired at age 27? Let us know in the comments section below.